Hey guys, so today I'm going to be reading a poem written by John Keats. It's called La Belle Dame, Sans Merci, a ballad. Who was John Keats, may you ask? John Keats was born on October 31st, 1795, and died February 23rd, 1821. He was a romantic poet, meaning he was part of the romantic movement that was happening in England during the 19th century. John Keats received little education. His father died in 1804 and his mother got remarried right after. Throughout his life, Keats was very close with his sister and two brothers. Keats was apprenticed to a surgeon at Edmonton in 1811. 3 years later, he broke off his apprenticeship and moved to London. In London, he began to work as a dresser and junior house surgeon at Guy's and St. Thomas's Hospital. After 1817, he devoted his life and himself fully to his writing and poetry. The three most famous poems written by Keats are Ode to Nightingale, Sleep and Poetry, and the most famous sonnet on first looking into Chapman's Omer. He published only 54 poems in 3 slim volumes and a few magazines. He was a romanticist poet who wrote odes. An ode is a lyrical stanza. English odes are usually dedicated to someone or something that captures the poet's attention or inspiration. So, let's get started. La Belle Dame Sans Merci, a ballad by John Keats. Oh, what can ail thee, knight at arms, alone and palely loitering? The sedge has withered from the lake, and no birds sing. Oh, what can ail thee, knight at arms, so haggard and so woe begone? The squirrel's granary is full, and the harvest done. I see a lily on thy brow, with anguish moistened fever dew, and on thy cheeks a fading rose fast withereth too. I met a lady in the meads, full beautiful, a fairy's child. Her hair was long, her foot was light, and her eyes were wild. I made a garland for her head, and bracelets too, and fragrant zone. She looked at me as she did love, and made sweet moan. I set her on my pacing steed, and nothing else saw all day long. For sidelong would she bend and sing a fairy song. She found me roots of relish sweet, and honey wild, and manna dew, and sure in language strange she said, I love thee true. She took me to her elfin grot, and there she wept and sighed full sore, and there I shut her wild, wild eyes with kisses for. And there she lulled me asleep, and there I dreamed, ah, woe betide, the latest dream I ever dreamt on the cold hill side. I saw pale kings and princes too, pale warriors, death pale were they all. They cried, La Belle Dame Sans Merci, thee hath in thrall. I saw their starved lips in the gloom, with horrid warning gaped wide, and I awoke and found me here on the cold hill's side. And this is why I sojourn here, alone and palely loitering, though the sedge is withered from the lake, and no birds sing. This ballad was published in 1819. The title originated from the poem La Belle Dame Sans Merci, written by Alan Cartier. This poem speaks upon a story of a knight and a beautiful woman. It shows us how love plays an enormous role in a man's life. The poem narrates a story of a man who falls in love with a lady, but she leaves him as he becomes ill. He meets a stranger and begins to tell the stranger about the beautiful lady that was in the meadows, how they were in love, how they would sing songs as they walked along side by side one another. She took him to her special place, and that is where he kissed her, which then made him fall asleep. He dreamed about people telling him to watch out for this lady and be careful. He then woke up on a cold hillside, where the stranger and him met. This ballad tells about the knight's condition and the deceit of the lady. There are many literary devices that are used within this poem. So first off, I wanted to begin with imagery. So imagery makes a poem complete. I basically said how these lines show imagery and how John Keats wanted us to vividly picture in our heads the beautiful lady and her gorgeous features that she had. From her pale skin, her long hair, her beautiful eyes, even the garland that he made for her head, and how it fit so lovely. The use of imagery is a great way to get the audience involved by picturing ourselves there in that exact moment, feeling the exact feelings, and just being present. Her hair was long, her foot was light. That was line 15. That represents imagery. Her eyes were wild. Line 16. And lastly, I made a garland for her head. Line 17. Another literary device that was shown throughout the ballad was assonance, which is the repetition of vowel sounds in the same line. Line 6 says, so haggard and so woe begone. Line 31 says, which represents the vowel O. And I shut her wild, wild eyes. Line 31, which represents the vowel I. Lastly, another literary device that was seen throughout this ballad was symbolism. Symbolism means to use symbols to stand for ideas and qualities, giving symbolic meaning different from literal meaning.